There is a road in Brazil that was once paved, forgotten, rediscovered, and remains frozen in time. It cuts through the heart of the Amazon and is the only land connection between Manaus and the rest of the country. And even so, no one can say for sure if it will ever be finished. This is the BR-319, the highway that has challenged Brazil for over 40 years. It's on the map, but it seems invisible to progress. When it rains, it turns to mud. When they try to rebuild it, it turns into controversy. And the question remains, why has this road never truly been paved? The answer involves politics, money, international pressure, environmental disputes, and a game of interests that few have the courage to expose. In this video, you will find out why the BR-319 became a ghost highway, what has been holding up this project for decades, and what is truly at stake for the future of the Amazon and the country. The BR-319 is a federal highway approximately 885 kilometers long, connecting Manaus in the Amazon to Porto Velho in Rondônia, one of the few land connections between the northern region and the rest of Brazil. In theory, it would be a strategic route for transporting cargo, people, food, and medicine. In practice, it's a road in shambles, with long stretches that simply don't function as a highway. The route of the BR crosses remote areas of the Amazon rainforest, cutting through regions of high environmental sensitivity, including extractive reserves, communities, riverside settlements, and indigenous lands. It's a corridor that crosses unique ecosystems, but at the same time it isolates millions of people due to a lack of basic infrastructure. The most critical point is the middle section. The middle section, about 405 kilometers long, is practically unpaved without signage, with makeshift wooden bridges and mud pits that become impassable during the Amazonian winter. Drivers who venture through there face days of getting stuck, torn tires, the risk of falling from broken bridges, and even a lack of medical assistance or phone signal. Truck drivers report trips that should take 12 hours, but seem to drag on for up to 4 or 5 days, depending on the weather. There are no gas stations, repair shops, or safe places to spend the night along this stretch. And when trucks get stuck, the only way to get back on the road is with the help of a tractor, making it a very precarious situation for such a long highway. For many, traveling on Highway 319 is like entering a survival route, where the biggest challenge is not getting there quickly, but simply getting there. But what is the current situation of this highway? Today, BR-319 is far from being a continuous and functional highway. Despite its strategic importance, less than half of the road is properly paved, and the unpaved sections remain the main bottleneck of the route. However, let's understand the situation of this road step by step. From kilometer 0 to kilometer 198, which goes from Manaus to Correio da Várzea, the stretch is fully paved and considered to be in good condition for travel, being the second most used by those leaving Manaus. From kilometer 198 to kilometer 250, the so-called Lot C underwent paving works that started in 2021. Although progress is slow, there have been significant interventions here and obstacles that have held back the advancement of the works. Now, from kilometer 250 to kilometer 655, known as the middle stretch, is where the challenge of the Phantom Highway, or BR-319, lies. Just so you have an idea, it's approximately 405 kilometers of roads without continuous asphalt, with stretches of dirt, mud, wooden bridges, and terrible traffic conditions, especially during the rainy season. Here, access is so precarious that many drivers simply avoid passing through this region. And at the end of the highway, the stretch runs from kilometer 655 to kilometer 885 toward Porto Velho. The last 230 kilometers are paved, although with varying quality. Some sections require maintenance, but overall it's a passable stretch. This discontinuity in the asphalt is one of the main reasons why BR 319 continues to be called the Ghost Highway, present on maps but broken in quality. But for what reasons? This highway still hasn't been fully paved. BR 319, popularly known as the Ghost Highway, was created during the context of the Brazilian military regime. It was built between 1968 and 1973 and inaugurated in 1976 by President Ernesto Geisel. Its mission was clear: to connect Manaus in Amazonas to Porto Velho in Rondônia by land, ensuring national sovereignty in the Amazon, promoting the occupation of the region, and facilitating the flow of production. In the early years, BR 319 was fully paved, but it soon succumbed to a lack of maintenance, heavy rains, and the unstable soil of the forest. In the 1980s, especially the middle section, about 400 kilometers between kilometer 250 and 650 became practically impassable. The road was abandoned, leaving dozens of communities isolated in Manaus practically without any land connection to the rest of the country. From then on, it became a symbol of unfulfilled promises. Several governments tried to reactivate the highway. In 1996, it was included in the Brazil in Action Plan of the Fernando Henrique Cardoso government, but there was no progress. In 2007, during Lula's government, BR 319 was included in the PEC, and some sections began to be restored, mainly at the ends. In 2021, during Bolsonaro's government, the paving of Lot C began between kilometers 198 and 250, with an estimated 52 kilometers of asphalt. However, the project faced environmental criticism and legal disputes that resulted in the suspension of the works in 2024 by decision of the federal court, citing failures in licensing and lack of consultation with indigenous peoples. Today, the discussion about the paving of BR 319 has gained momentum again. The need for regional development, the reduction of logistical isolation in Amazonas, and the vulnerability of Manaus in the face of extreme climate events reignite the debate. The federal government included it in the new pacts and proposed an unprecedented model of permanent environmental oversight, with control and monitoring checkpoints along the highway. However, the obstacles are significant. The main barrier is environmental licensing. BR 319 crosses several conservation units and indigenous lands, which requires rigorous environmental studies and mitigation measures that comply with legislation and oversight requirements. Environmentalists fear that paving the road will lead to increased deforestation, land grabbing, the expansion of illegal agribusiness, and environmental crimes. Despite this, the highway remains strategic. Its reactivation could lower the cost of transporting goods to Manaus, provide an alternative land route to river transport, and integrate the north with the rest of the country more efficiently. For the local populations, the road means access to healthcare, education, commerce, and dignity. BR 319 remains, therefore, in limbo between the dream of progress and the risk to the environment. A road that, even unfinished, has been part of the debate about the future of the Amazon and Brazil for decades. BR 319 is not alone when it comes to precarious conditions and neglect. When people talk about it, what comes to mind is an isolated road in the middle of the forest, full of broken promises and enormous challenges to restoring it. But Brazil has other highways in very similar conditions, some even worse. Two of them are the BR 156 in Amapá and the BR 242, which connects western Bahia to Mato Grosso. They help show that the BR 319 is not a unique case, but part of a bigger problem: the neglect of strategic roads in important regions of the country. To help you understand better, the BR 156 connects the capital Macapá to Oiapoque, way up in the far north of Brazil, on the border with French Guiana. It's about 800 kilometers of road with approximately 60% paved. The rest turns into pure mud during the rainy season. Trucks get stuck, entire cities become isolated, and the transportation of food and medicine simply stops. Many times only the Army manages to get through. Now, in the case of BR 242, with more than 2,300 kilometers, it becomes essential for Brazil's progress. It connects the agricultural region of Mato Pipa, Maranhão, Tocantins, Piauí, and Bahia to the center-west. Grains, machinery, fertilizers, everything that moves in one of the most productive areas of Brazil passes through there. But even with such economic importance, entire stretches are still without asphalt. During the rainy season, trucks get stuck, cargo is lost, and the losses are enormous. In 2020 and 2023, producers reported thousands of losses just because they couldn't transport their production. And the most impressive thing, this situation has been dragging on for decades. Just like BR 319, BR 242, Lives on Promises, was also included in government plans and also had projects announced, but it also remained only on paper. The difference is that while BR 319 runs into environmental and legal issues because it crosses the Amazon rainforest, BR 242 faces political neglect, even though it is vital for the economy. These comparisons show that the problem with BR 319 is serious, but it's not unique. Brazil has a road infrastructure marked by neglect, lack of planning, and empty promises. Meanwhile, communities remain isolated, products don't reach their destination, and entire regions lose the chance to develop. What unites these three highways, BR 319, BR 156, and BR 242, is that they all face the same situation. They were designed to integrate the country, but ended up being left behind. And now they face intense challenges to get off the drawing board or to become what they once promised to be. Thank you for watching this video up to this point. What did you think of this topic? And have you ever experienced crossing the ghost road, the BR 319, or something similar to it? Leave your experience here in the comments. I'll stop here. Big hug and see you in the next video. Ooh.